In ancient Persia, one law bound even the queen. Approach the king unsummoned, and you die. Yet one morning, a queen walked toward that throne, uninvited, and she carried a secret. Her people had 30 days to live, and no one in the palace knew she was one of them. Rewind 5 years. Persia, the empire of Xerxes, stretching from India to Ethiopia, 127 provinces. At a feast that lasted 180 days, the king summoned Queen Vashti to display her beauty. She refused, and she was gone. So the empire went looking for a new queen. Officers in every province gathered the most beautiful young women to the citadel of Susa. None of them had a choice. Among them was an orphan girl named Hadassah, raised by her older cousin Mordecai, a man who sat at the king's gate. Mordecai gave her one instruction that would shape everything. Tell no one your people. Tell no one your family. In Persia, she would be called only Esther. 12 months of oils and perfumes. Then one evening walked to a king who had already seen hundreds of faces. And the king loved Esther more than all the others. He set the crown on her head, an orphan exile, queen of Persia, and nobody knew who she was. At the king's gate, Mordecai overheard 2 guards plotting to kill the king. He reported it through Esther. The plotters were hanged, and the deed was written in the royal chronicles. Remember that book? Then a man named Haman rose to power, second only to the king, and every knee at the gate was commanded to bow when he passed. Every knee bowed but one. Mordecai the Jew would not. Day after day, Haman passed. Day after day, one man stood. Haman's fury went past one man. When he learned Mordecai's people, he decided to destroy them all. Every Jew in the empire, man, woman, and child. They cast lots before Haman, day after day, to choose the date of the massacre. The lot fell on the 13th of Adar, 11 months away. The Persian word for lot was pur, remember it. The king gave Haman his signet ring, and couriers rode to every province with one message. On a single day, an entire people would die. Mordecai tore his clothes and cried out at the king's gate in sackcloth and ashes. And in every province, Jews wept and fasted. Word reached the queen, and Mordecai sent her a challenge that has echoed for 25 centuries. Do not think you will escape in the king's palace, and who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this. Esther knew the law. 30 days had passed since the king last called for her. To walk in uninvited was to gamble her life on a golden scepter. She sent back her answer, "Gather the Jews of Susa and fast for me, 3 days and nights. Then I will go to the king, though it is against the law." And she ended with 5 words that made an orphan immortal. "If I perish, I perish." On the 3rd day, she stood in the inner court, royal robes over a pounding heart. The king looked up and held out the golden scepter. She could have begged for her people right there. Instead, she asked something strange. "Come to a banquet today, you and Haman. Wisdom knows how to wait." The energy of At the wine, the king offered her half the kingdom. She asked only this, "Come again tomorrow, both of you. Then I will answer the king." Haman left glowing, twice invited by the queen. Then he passed the gate, and Mordecai did not rise, and all the joy drained out of him. That night, at his wife's suggestion, Haman built a gallows 75 feet high. Mordecai would hang in the morning. He only had to ask the king at dawn. But that same night, in the palace, the king could not sleep. So he ordered the royal chronicles read aloud, and the reading fell on a forgotten name. Mordecai, who had once saved the king's life and was never rewarded. And at that exact moment Haman arrived to ask for his death. The king asked, "What should be done for the man the king delights to honor?" And Haman, certain it was him, described his dream. Royal robes, the king's own horse, a herald through the square. "Then do all of it," said the king, for Mordecai the Jew. And Haman led his enemy on horseback through the city square, proclaiming his honor. Haman ran home with his head covered, and even his own wife told him the truth. "If Mordecai is of the Jews, you will not stand against him. You have already begun to fall." At the second banquet, the king asked again, "What is your petition, Queen Esther?" And she finally spoke, "Let my life be granted, and the life of my people." "We have been sold," she said, "to be destroyed, killed, annihilated." The king rose in fury. "Who is he? Where is he? Who has dared to do this?" And Esther, the orphan who had hidden her name for 5 years, pointed across the table. A foe and an enemy, this wicked Haman. That evening, Haman was hanged on the gallows he had built for Mordecai, 75 feet against the sky. The pit he dug for another, he fell into himself. The king could not revoke his own decree, so he sent a second one. The Jews could arm and defend themselves, and couriers thundered out on the fastest royal horses, racing the calendar. When the 13th of Adar came, the people stood, and the people survived, and they named a festival after Haman's own dice. Purim, the lot, kept by Jewish families to this day. Now, the strangest fact in the whole book. From beginning to end, the book of Esther never mentions God. Not once. Not a single prayer is recorded. And that is exactly the point. No burning bush, no parted sea, just a sleepless night, a forgotten chronicle, a lot that fell 11 months late, a scepter that fell the right way. Coincidence stacked on coincidence, until coincidence stops being an explanation. So take this from Persia. Your position is not an accident. Whatever room you find yourself standing in, you may have been brought there for such a time as this. And see the shape of a greater story. Esther risked death to stand before a throne for her people. Christ accepted death to stand before a greater throne for his. She said, "If I perish," he said, "I will," and his people live. If Esther's story strengthened your faith, subscribe and share it with someone who needs courage this week. And tell me in the comments, have you ever looked back and seen God's hand in what felt like coincidence?